Meghalaya Cabinet today approved the recommendations submitted by the regional committees on the interstate border issue with Assam. The recommendations will now be forwarded to the MHA along with the recommendations of the Assam Government. This was informed by Chief Minister Congrats Sangma after a crucial meeting of the State Cabinet today.
We had a very important cabinet meeting today. The first agenda was the recommendation of the three regional committees on the interstate boundary between Meghalaya and Assam. The cabinet today has approved the proposal or the recommendations that have been given by the committee, and these recommendations will now be forwarded along with the recommendations from the Assam government to MHA for further action. Second, we had today passed the adoption of the NH Act for land acquisition for construction of national highway. So there's a land acquisition act, and now the NH Act will be applicable, which will be applicable only for.
The Assam and Meghalaya Chief Ministers will now meet Union Home Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi tomorrow to submit the reports. Briefing media persons after the cabinet meet, Meghalaya Chief Minister Congrats Sangma said that the interests of the states and stakeholders have been kept in mind before coming to the decision. Without giving a deadline on when the final agreement will be signed, Sangma said it was important to acknowledge that the agreement had been reached at before January 21st.
2 days left for the State Good Day, and tomorrow we are meeting the Union Home Minister. Do we see that on the 21st of this month, there will be a joint declaration as far as resolving this issue?
See, let's not try to link, this activity, the exercise that we have done, and that kind of setting a deadline for the whole process. It's a process that continues, and obviously there's a lot more work left even after this. But what is important is that the two states have come to a conclusion before the 50th year. We have submitted the reports. The procedure and process will take time. We will be coming out, as I said, with more details once we have shared it with MHA and the Home Minister. And once we more or less come to a kind of a common agreement in the presence of the Home Minister, that will be the appropriate time for us to declare and share the details of this. But obviously the entire paperwork process will take time. But I think what is important to note is that, yes, before the 21st, we have actually managed to come to some kind of an agreement on these six locations of differences.
Sangma also said that the sentiments of the inter-border populace have been taken into account before approving the reports.
It has been arrived, as I said, by ensuring that the interests of the people living in those areas have been taken into consideration. The interest of the stakeholders has been taken into consideration, and both the states have worked together to come to an understanding where we keep these factors in mind and resolve it.
Meanwhile, Chief Minister Sangma informed that the next step will be to submit the reports to MHA.
So the next step, as I said, will be that we will proceed to Delhi tomorrow, both Assam, Honorable Chief Minister of Assam and myself, and we will submit this report to the Honorable Home Minister. And after that, since both the states have more or less agreed, I should say 100% agreed on both the reports, so we are going to be submitting more or less a common report. And then I think further the Government of India will have to move, according to the laws for the bill to be put up. But while that happens, administratively, the two states will further discuss about the nitty-gritties in each location, because as you're aware that we can work out the villages that are there, so we can agree on villages, but demarcating a border, these are aspects which are within the provisions of the parliament and the powers of the parliament. Therefore, those aspects will have to be done at the parliament level. Survey of India will have to come in. joint inspections maybe have to be done, and the bill has to be there. So all those aspects are there.
The Meghalaya Chief Minister added that while administrative control will be exercised by the states, the demarcation of the border will be done by centre.
These 6 sectors, these areas that are going to be resolved between the two states, do both the states still have to go to Delhi to request the centre to amend the northeastern reorganization and in
So
this particular matter?
yeah, so basically, as I said, we can have administrative units and administrative control over certain areas, but the actual demarcation of the boundary line will have to be done by Parliament.
Sangma also said that the border issue should not be seen in a way as to who has gained more land and who has lost more.
It's not about who gains more or who gains less. I think it's always important to not stick to our positions. I've been very, very clear in all my discussions that when we stick to our position of ours, then we can never find a way forward. So the position is not about, as I said, the position is what? Position is that, that we will not leave any inch. We will get more, we will get less. That's not the way to look at how we resolve a problem. We need to resolve a problem by looking at whether our interest is being served or not. What is it that matters to us? What is it that concerns us? And that's why, as I said, when we started looking at the interest of the state and the people, then our entire outlook to the problem changes. And that's why we felt that we need to see what the people want. And that's why, as I said, the driving force has been the will of the people and the ethnicity. And therefore, we must look at those aspects. And therefore, keeping that in mind, it just so happens that there are a lot of areas in the border area which have a large Garo population, some Khasi population. In some areas, we have a large Rabha population, some Nepali population, some Assamese population, and other tribes also are there. So based on that, what has suited the local people there more, trying to again look at the other factors of contiguity or other factors of governance, all these aspects into mind, and historical data also, we try to come to the most amicable solution that is there.